Spirit and spirituality. In today's majlis, I would like to discuss some fundamental and special points about the subject of spirit and spirituality. It is the greatest and the most important subject in the religion of Islam because it is the recognition of one's own self or soul that leads to the recognition of God. It is the successful result of true knowledge and good deeds, and it is the ultimate goal of religion. The most comprehensive principle. When it is a fact that the precious treasure and its unbounded, lasting and imperishable wealth of the recognition of God is hidden in man's own recognition, why should not more and more attention be paid to it? The recognition of soul in reality means to see and recognize it completely with the inner eye. This subject is so great, vast and comprehensive that it comprises all subjects related to religion, because everything is contained in the supreme recognition of God. In other words, the subject of the recognition of God covers all subjects and extends to them. Therefore, I would like to emphasize that it is a dear need to pay more and more attention to the subject of spirit and spirituality. Hazrat Maulana Ali says, "He who recognizes his soul indeed recognizes his Lord, Rabb." It is also said, "He who among you recognizes his soul more, recognizes his Lord more." Since the supreme rank of the recognition of God becomes complete after passing through many stages of spirituality and merging in the origin, it cannot be attained merely by one's own efforts. The help and guidance of the true guide on this delicate and difficult path are indispensable. This great feat of mu'min's religious life can be accomplished in the light of the sacred guidance of God, the Prophet and the Imam of the time. Straight path and recognition. As it is a fact that the straight path is another name of Islam, and on this path, Ma'rifat is the last destination after Shariat, Tariqat and Haqiqat. So also is the recognition of oneself or soul, in which is hidden treasure of God's recognition, the final stage of religion. This is the station of recognition, Maqam-e Ma'rifat, which a mu'min reaches through true knowledge and good deeds. In other words, the straight path is the path of obedience of mu'mins on which they can advance and progress gradually till their heart is completely illumined with the radiance of the light of recognition. Observation and recognition. When a mu'min reaches the station of recognition, he sees things with his inner eye, and as a result, he recognizes not only his own soul, but also his Lord. Recognition, although apparently only one word, is so exalted and so great in its meaning and wisdom that it comprises all the realities and recognitions of life and the universe. But it is sad that very few can understand the domain of recognition and its meanings. Light of recognition. Recognition or Ma'rifat is a light, the eternal light, which has always been there and which has many names, such as divine light, the light of the Quran, the light of Islam, the light of prophethood, the light of NIAMAT, the light of faith, the light of certitude, the light of mu'mins, etc. Then reflect for a while and consider what is beyond the light of recognition. It is everything. It is the light of God, therefore it is the light of the universal of universals, in the illumination of which the secrets of God and Godhead are revealed to the Arifs, and the living and luminous realities of pre-eternity Azal and post-eternity Abad come in front of them completely. Through it they recognize the tablet, the pen, and the angels. They become aware of the secrets of the creation of the universe, and they know the miracles of the prophets and the imams practically. They observe the states of a sublime reality, such as revelation, and recognize Jibrail, Mikail, Israfil, and Israel. Resurrection, which is the most hidden subject of the wise Quran, is experienced practically through this life, and at the end of this spiritual journey, for the search of reality is attained the hidden treasure of God and Godhead. God, as mentioned in the sacred hadith, in which there is everything and beyond it there is nothing. The light of recognition illuminates not only this life of the Arif, but through it he also directly becomes aware of the realities of death and the hereafter in this very life, and has the amazing vision or didar of soul, which is a great luminous creature of God, or in other words, a living, luminous and miraculous reflection of his divine vision. In the light of recognition, the world of spirituality, which is opposite to this world, comes in front of the Arif as the inner unveiling. The veil of hell and paradise is removed, and their scenes are observed with the inner eye, and this results in the absolute certainty of the attributes of God and His oneness. In the illumination of recognition, it should be known that recognition or marifat is a luminous, living universe which contains everything, and whatever it contains has a soul. In other words, if seen in the illumination of recognition, the soul of everything, including lifeless stones, appears and speaks, as God says, "They, organs, shall say, Allah who makes everything speak, made us speak." Surah 41, Ayah 21. This wisdom-filled allusion of the Quran is to the world of recognition, in which everything has a soul which can speak. Thus, by observing in the illumination of the light of recognition, it becomes evident that everything has a soul, including inanimate things such as stones, soil, air, etc. The soul of vegetables is apparent from their capacity of growth. The soul of animals nobody doubts, and as for the human soul, it is an unanimously accepted reality. Thus, in the eyes of recognition, there is nothing which does not have a soul. Thus, it is a fact that during the attainment of recognition, the Arif meets and converses with the souls of all things, and as a result, the veil of the secrets of the recognition is lifted and their realities become clear. The testimonies of the above mentioned realities and recognitions are also found in the Holy Quran, as it is said in Surah 6, Ayat 112, "And had we sent down the angels to them, and had the dead spoken to them, and even if had we gathered all spiritual things before their eyes, even then they would not believe. Apparently this verse appears to be an example, but those who know that it is not only an example, but also a living fact. Thus, it is a very great, wonderful and amazing event that for those who have direct contact with the spiritual world, not only do the souls of the dead, the angels and jinns appear to them, but simultaneously the souls of all human beings and all things meet and converse with them. And the greatest event in this connection is the didar or vision of the divine light. Comprehensiveness of recognition. It is almost universally accepted that the complete recognition of God is attained by His luminous didar, whether the didar which is full of manifestation of His majestic and beauty be His own or of His light, who is His vicegerent and representative, or of a man's own soul in which is hidden this great capacity that when the time comes it represents Him in every respect and in every form. In any case, the didar of God is true and its result is recognition, which is the greatest proof and supreme goal of spiritual observations. Question: can a wise person, despite this explanation, think that some essential realities still remain hidden forever from the eyes of the people of recognition? Answer: no. How can it be possible while God's blessed didar and His sacred recognition are established facts? If God, despite being the most hidden or hidden of the hidden, grants the everlasting wealth of His recognition by manifesting Himself in the spirituality and luminosity of His chosen servants, or when the most hidden treasure is discovered in the recognition of God, the blessed, the exalted, who is the most sublime, the greatest and beyond everything, can anything still remain hidden from the eye and access of recognition? The greatest secret. It should be known that in comparison to God's recognition, nothing has any importance. The greatest secret is God's reality. Thus, a religious and wise person can easily conceive that God Himself is the greatest of all secrets. That is, the nature of the recognition of God is extremely difficult, and the unity of God is the most difficult thing. Thus, when it is believed that His recognition is attainable and His unity recognizable, then is it possible for any wise person to think that there are certain things which are still beyond the recognition of the people of recognition? No, it is not correct to think so. It is against the meaning of Allahu Akbar, that is, it is only God who is the greatest, and He is over and above everything. This means that all things are confined in the mercy of God, and above His mercy is His knowledge, and He Himself is above His knowledge and its sovereign. This explanation on the one hand ascertains the grandeur and sublimity of the recognition of God, and on the other makes it evident that nothing is beyond His mercy and knowledge. From this it is necessarily followed that those fortunate people who attain the recognition of God receive everything on account of the following reasons. 1. Allah is the true sovereign, and when He wills, He grants His recognition to one of His servants and makes him His friend. Then, as a result of His friendship, he receives everything. 2. The recognition of God brings with it His knowledge, and His knowledge brings with it everything, as we have explained in the above, that His Godhead and recognition are above everything, and all things are under His knowledge and mercy. 3. Although it is true that God is beyond every example, yet His mercy necessitates to furnish some easily understandable examples for the initial levels of the explanation of the concept of divinity. Thus, He has provided many such wisdom-filled and meaningful examples of His essence. Among them, one soul-nourishing example which represents His greatest favor is that of a hidden treasure. If it is accepted that the people of recognition receive God not as a master, Lord and King, but as a treasure, then it requires us to think with great attention about how great this favor of God is. He gives Himself and His Godhead with all its perfect attributes as a treasure to an arif, as the reward for attaining His recognition. This secret should not be divulged any further, because in it are hidden wonderful wisdoms of divine mercy and kindness. This shows that the light of recognition is everything. Multiplicity like unity. It would not be out of place at this point to discuss a unity which in reality is unity, but apparently is considered to be multiplicity. It should therefore be called a multiplicity-like unity, such as the sun and its innumerable reflections, that their true unity is always in the sun, but the sun's apparent multiplicity is in all clear and transparent things in which its light is reflected, such as a mirror, water, etc. Similarly, there is a fountainhead of souls which is called the sun, or the light of spiritual world, in which there is the real unity of soul. But at the same time, there is also an apparent multiplicity in particular souls. In this connection too, if we want to use a collective term, we can call it multiplicity like unity, which means that the unity of souls, which is always in the eternal light, appears temporarily in individuals, just as on the one hand there is the unity of the sun and its rays, and on the other there is the apparent multiplicity. The single soul, nafs-e wahida. The single soul is mentioned in the Holy Quran in a wisdom-filled way. It is the universal soul which is like the fountainhead of souls and the eternal light. As the wise Quran says, your creation and resurrection is but the creation and resurrection of a single soul. Surah 31, Ayah 24. That is, the souls of people were created with the universal soul in pre-eternity, Azal. Therefore, in the universal soul, the unity is still like the unity of a single soul. In other words, each one of us still has a higher I, or higher reality of the soul attached to the universal soul, just as it was attached in pre-eternity. In addition, we also have a lower I, or a subsidiary or temporary life, which depends on our personality and which can be compared to the reflection of the sun in the mirror. When the personal resurrection takes place in connection with the spirituality of a mu'min, then, together with all the souls of the universe which have come to him in the form of particles, he suddenly feels linked with the universal soul. This is an example of the collective resurrection in one's personal spirituality, in which all people find themselves alive in the universal soul, as alluded to in the above mentioned verse. The Holy Quran also says, "The mu'mins are surely brothers." Surah 49, Ayah 10. Further, in a hadith explaining the same purport, it is said, "Mu'mins are surely brothers, and the prophets are like a single soul." It is evident from this that although humanity is scattered at the lower level, it is united at the higher level, and at the height of the universal soul, it is like a single soul from pre-eternity to post-eternity. These realities and recognition can greatly help us to understand monoreality. Recognition and the Quran. In this connection, the following question can be raised in one way or another. What does the Quran say about recognition? The answer is that the glorious Quran has mentioned the recognition of God everywhere in its special language of wisdom. Some examples of this are as follows. 1. In Surah 24, Ayah 35, it is said, "Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth." This alludes first and foremost to a divine light which grants spiritual knowledge, luminous guidance, and divine recognition to the people of the inner eye. If Allah is light, then by this light is certainly meant His manifestations and the observations of the Arif and his attainment of recognition, because light not only effaces darkness and shows the hidden things, but it also manifests itself, just like the sun, which not only effaces darkness and spreads light and shows the heaven and the earth, but also itself becomes manifest. Thus, in this sense, the people of recognition observe the manifestations of the divine light with their inner eye. This then results in the fact that whatever light is mentioned in the wise Quran, there is also mentioned the recognition of God. 2. According to Surah 33, Ayahs 45 and 46, God had sent the Holy Prophet as a prophet, a messenger, a witness, a bearer of glad tidings, a warner, an inviter to God, and a luminous lamp. These blessed names of the Holy Prophet imply the meanings of recognition. Prophet means the one who informs about God, and in reality, prophethood is based on the observation of spirituality and the manifestations of light. Similarly, messenger means the one whom God has sent from His extreme closeness. Witness means the one who has observed the real event and is the witness of it. In these names, the Holy Prophet's spirituality and recognition are prominently mentioned. Had he not observed the paradise and the divine vision, Didar, then in reality he would have been neither a witness, nor a bearer of glad tidings, nor a warner. These names can be truly applicable to him only after observing the spiritual world. Inviter to God means the one who enables others to meet God. There cannot be any doubt about the Holy Prophet was merged in God and was inviting others to walk on the straight path and to merge in Him. The Holy Prophet was accomplishing this tremendous work of mission in the illumination of the light of recognition, because he was the luminous lamp of the light of guidance, which means that he himself was a light of recognition. This example clearly shows that the recognition of God is mentioned in the wisdom of the Holy Quran, particularly in verses which are related to the praiseworthy attributes of the perfect man. 3. In Surah 13, Ayat 43, it is said, "And those who disbelieve say, 'You are not a messenger,' say, O Muhammad, 'Allah and He who has knowledge of the book are sufficient witness of my messengership between me and you.'" If you wish, you can find out about this verse in a Shia commentary, in which you will find several reliable Sunni references as well, that for the testimony of the messengership of the Holy Prophet, the perfect man who is mentioned after God in the above mentioned verse is Maulana Ali. Whatever the disbelievers may say about his messengership, there are two just witnesses of it, and they are God and Maulana Ali as Imam-i Mubin, who testified that he is the true messenger of God. Here you have to think logically about the testimony of Maulana Ali as to what is its criterion. You will certainly come to the conclusion that its criterion is the supreme testimony of God, the Blessed, the Exalted. This means that in confirmation of the messengership of the Holy Prophet, the testimony of Imam Ali is as profound, all-embracing and correct as that of God. It was not hypothetical, superficial and limited. It was based entirely on observation with his own eyes. That is, to witness the messengership of the Holy Prophet without seeing all the spiritual wonders and miracles and their nature and reality from the cave of Hira up to the night of Mi'raj has no meaning, because his prophethood and messengership cover all the stages of the soul and spirituality, and to testify to this extremely great work, the first witness is God Himself. In addition to mentioning that he was a witness of the messengership of the Holy Prophet in this verse, it is also said that he had the knowledge of the heavenly book, whereas the knowledge of the heavenly book is not only in the exoteric and esoteric aspects of the Quran, but also in the guarded tablet of spirit and spirituality, which is the mother of the book, Kitab, and in the domain of knowledge, the book and the mother of the book are the same. In the light of these realities, it becomes clear that in no stage of spirit and spirituality is the light of walayat separate from the light of prophethood. This means that whenever the light of prophethood saw the manifestations of God, the light of walayat also saw them, and without this, nobody can fulfill the conditions of the criterion of becoming the witness of the messengership of the Holy Prophet together with God. It can be estimated from this discussion how the recognition of God is mentioned in Quranic wisdom. Recognition and paradise. As mentioned earlier, where the recognition of God is attained through the light of recognition, nothing is excluded from that recognition because it comprises and covers everything, and so paradise is also included in this vast domain. This means that in the manifestations of spirit and spirituality which are observed as a result of successful remembrance and luminous ibadat, paradise is also included, as God says, and He will admit them into paradise, which He has already made recognizable to them. Surah 47, Ayat 6. This shows that paradise must be recognized in this very life so that it may remain forever after death. Otherwise it is impossible to recognize it in the hereafter. It is in this sense that God says in Surah 17, Ayat 72, "And whosoever is blind in this life, he shall also be blind in the hereafter, and far astray from the straight path." This verse clearly shows the importance of the inner eye and the observation of spirituality, and therefore a mu'min must attach himself to the farman of the Imam of the time. It is he who is appointed by God and the chosen prophet for this supreme rank, and by obeying him, a mu'min can attain the knowledge of certainty and the light of recognition. Knowledge of certainty, ilmul yaqin. If a mu'min cannot observe the paradise of spirit and spirituality with the inner eye in this life, he should not be disappointed if he is staunch and firm in faith and love for the Imam of the time. In such a case, he can use the knowledge of certainty and can conceive the realities of paradise, because in the absence of the eye of the heart and spiritual light, the light of the knowledge of certainty works as the eye, about which the noble Quran says, "Nay, would that you knew knowledge of certainty, you shall certainly see hellfire." Surah 102, Ayat 5 and 6. In these verses there is the praise of the knowledge of certainty, and this clearly means that those fortunate mu'min who have the love of certainty see not only hell, but also recognize the realities of paradise in its illumination. And all this should be completed in this world before one's death, so that after the knowledge of certainty, the rank of the eye of certainty may be attained. The eye of certainty, Ainul Yaqeen. By the eye of certainty is meant the eye of the heart or the inner eye, with which man can see and recognize his own spirit and spirituality, as well as everything of the spiritual world and paradise. Recognition becomes complete at this stage. If a mu'min has not been able to attain this place, he should know that he is lacking either in the knowledge of certainty or in ibadat, spiritual exercise and true love. Therefore, he should obey the Imam of the time completely with sincerity and love and strive for remembrance, ibadat and true knowledge, so that by the pleasure of God and the Prophet, he may receive the help and luminous guidance of the Imam of the time, and thereby easily attain the rank of the knowledge of certainty and the eye of certainty.